Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Balabai.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Victoria, Tundu, MK Abiola. Yes, in all pink.
Timmy was going to upstage you this morning. You see, you've got competition.
Can somebody even do something in secret, Dr. Abbott?
Not around Dr. Abbott.
Well,
No, that was in secret.
No, it wasn't.
That was on live television.
I saw it. He tried to, but he failed, so he just gave up. Now let's start the review with this day. Nigeria's newspaper of record, the lead story. World Bank. Federal government, states won't be able to pay salaries in 2022 if fuel subsidy is retained. Kyari, NNPC may start invoicing the federation to maintain subsidy. Finance minister reveals plan to introduce transport grant for vulnerable Nigerians. El-Rufai, despite oil prices rising globally, there is no windfall. Yes, that is the sad tale of our country, that at a time oil price is hitting the roof, as it were, we are not getting the windfall. I take it from there. Because the President Muhammadu Buhari, used to give a very familiar excuse. When we came in, oil was at X price. But when oil was selling for $100, nothing was done. Now, oil is selling at a reasonably high price, to the extent that world powers like the United States are thinking or are already at the verge of releasing their strategic reserve to bring down the prices. But unfortunately, Nigeria is not benefiting directly from this windfall. One, we cannot even meet our OPEC quota. Our production capacity is low. And now, sweet crude, Bonny Light, is peeling away in Bayelsa for the past 3 weeks. Capacity to cap that wellhead has been lacking, and now foreigners are here. We heard a short while ago to help the situation. But looking at the revenue base, self-inflicted, you will say, this administration refused or unwilling or could not summon the willpower to remove fuel subsidy. And so, after many months of saying no subsidy, we got under recovery, subsidy, now NNPC. May start invoicing the federation account. Recall that in May or thereabout, there was no money to share to the states because money meant for the federation account has been used to settle subsidy debts. Now let's just move over to other stories, other newspapers. Yes, the Guardian newspaper is also reporting this story. Doubts as federal government plan to reimburse poor Nigerians, cancel fuel subsidy. Petrol price to hover between 320 naira to 340 naira per litre. El-Rufai, states will support total removal of fuel subsidy. NNPC GMD subsidy will be removed early 2022. Initially, the date was mid-2022. Perhaps the impact and the urgency of the moment, they may bring that down to early 2022. Experts warn petrol equalization may truncate the regulation policy. Cash payment induces corruption. The Daily Independent, that same story, petrol may rise to 340 naira per litre in 2022. NNPC. Now, the Business Day newspaper, the one that concerns many households, including women like Tudu who cook every day. Price of cooking gas rising 63% to last longer. Yes, Tundu, you know you're a good cook. We're almost giving you the title of the Mama Put General of Nigeria. Well,
oh, no.
well, it's a good one. Homely.
Oh, no.
It means you're very homely. And I'm sure many guys are taking note.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Now, the cooking, this is a problem, the price of cooking gas. Now, yes, a couple of days ago, the vice president launched cylinders to encourage more people to use gas instead of other sources of energy like wood and charcoal. But at a time the price of gas is going through the rooftops, then I don't know how you encourage people. Even if you give them free gas cylinders, they have to fill those cylinders with expensive gas. And not many families can actually afford that right now. Well, let's just move on. The Daily Sun newspaper, yes, the other major story of the day. Federal government rejects Lagos EndSARS report. It is triumph of fake news riddled with errors, says Lai Mohammed. Insists Lekki Tollgate massacre phantom. Yes, his theory of phantom massacre. The Minister of Information is sticking to and is insisting now after that report. But the President Muhammadu Buhari, said we should wait till they go through the due process. Lagos State government haven't received the report, issue a white paper, then they will take it up from there. But Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information, held court yesterday where he disputed and literally almost threw away that report even before it got to the federal government. But Ruben, you will know, if the president has said we want to wait for due process for the report to get to us, is the minister overruling the president or is acting on behalf of the president? Because the president told the whole world this, that he wants to wait. The federal government will wait for the report to follow the due process, white paper release, then when it gets to them, they know what to do.
Well, the minister is certainly not in a position to overrule his own boss. I mean, the minister is an appointee of the president.
Correct.
But it's a question of which comes first in the order of appearance within the public domain. The president's statement, was it issued after the minister had heard the press conference?
No, the president said that much earlier when he was asked about this report.
Well, if it was earlier than the minister, then that would be very strange indeed, that the president would toe a particular line and the minister would take another line completely, because at the end of the day, the minister speaks for the president. However, what I find a bit tasteless, in the presentation by the minister was that he was combative. He was so dismissive. I mean, he was not part of the investigation process, and he was characterizing that particular panel of inquiry. I don't know why you chose to do that, but a preliminary statement saying the federal government is also studying the report because there are aspects of interest to the federal government and all of that, something short and concise, which will show that the federal government was aware of what was going on. That would have been adequate, but it was very combative and it went on as if it was attacking an opposition party. But we'll see how it plays out.
Okay, just to know before I come to you, the foreign newspapers quickly. The Daily Telegraph, AstraZeneca vaccine may give longer protection. For those of us who have taken AstraZeneca, well, maybe we smile broader than some other persons who are yet to take the vaccine. Oxford jab rollout to elderly could be why UK is avoiding the European wave. Experts are saying. Now, the Times of London. Patients to travel for treatment. Radical proposal to cut NHS waiting list will send the patients around the country. Yes, the backlog from the coronavirus pandemic. Patients waiting long time to see their GPs. But now you may have to travel to areas where they have less patients to see your doctor. That is a radical plan which Sajid Javid is putting in place. Now, the Financial Times newspaper, Biden bids to tame oil prices with 50 million barrels from reserve falls flat, released from strategic stockpile. Crude fears of OPEC retaliation. Rufai, Aaron.
I wanted to quickly comment about the waiting list. What is happening to the NHS is totally bonkers. Waiting list now is about 4 or 5 days. So what some people now do is now they go to A&E, accident and emergency. Even if you go to accidents and emergencies, it takes them 7 hours before they'll see you. That's accidents and emergencies. So that should show you that Sajid Javid has a big problem on his hands. The waiting lists are killing. In their latest budgets, they propose to add more money to the NHS. They're bumping up the budget to about 200 billion, but it's not still going to solve the problem. Apart from that waiting list, they've got another problem with people that want to do surgery and they want to get, maybe kidney and things like that. They want to, transplants. That waiting list too is killing. So it just, for a lot of people that make the argument about, social welfare and all of that, people also make the argument about waiting times with the NHS.
But this is a radical, novel idea to move people around to areas where you have less patients. Tundu, over to you.
Well, there's always been what's been known as the postcode lottery, where NHS services are concerned. And it's actually really alarming that a person's chances of dying of a particular illness are higher depending on what part of England you live in. And I think that's all part of the levelling up agenda that brought, the Johnson administration to Downing Street, although we don't know what he's really doing about levelling up. Whether he's been, successful at that is a matter for another topic. But that AstraZeneca story, I raised it with that Adesua because I did feel a little bit, of a thrill, like, yay, we got the really good vaccine with the T cells protection. But all of that, while we have a little glow here, those of us who got that vaccine, all of that only serves to fuel vaccine hesitancy. This idea that some vaccines are more effective than others, my vaccine is great, yours sucks, which is what happened with the EU in the beginning, especially with Macron. He was waging this war against the AstraZeneca vaccine, and then we now wonder why some people don't want to take a jab, because people are thinking, well, this vaccine is not good, then they're all a disaster. It just throws doubt on the entire situation. So while it's good news for us, I guess, if it can be proved, of course, generally I don't think it's great.
Well, but just go out there and take the vaccine if you have not done so.
Well, Emmanuel Efeni, not enough time to talk more about some of the other subjects, just less than 30 seconds. So on that note, we would like to thank you very much for the newspaper review.